Hey sweet soul, welcome back to Conscious Lifestyle Coaching. My name is Raileigh. Today I want to talk about codependency and how that manifests in entrepreneurship and business particularly. And I might be talking to a very particular audience here. We're very spiritual and many of us partake in the spiritual channels, right? We get a message, and I often post messages that resonate with our spirit, with our emotions, where our mind is at, and we tune in and we receive a positive, empowering, and uplifting message. And a lot of you listening are also called to do this work and do it. Go out there and do it. But I want to talk about motivations behind why we post these things, so that if you are starting your own entrepreneur lifestyle, or you want to start your own channel, grow your own business in a way that helps heal people, then let's do it from a place where we're not feeding into a broken part of ourselves that we're not quite conscious we're doing. And I'm sharing from a very honest and vulnerable place in my life of why this started. Was I was very much depressed and alone, and healing things psychologically that were hard to talk about. I'm a huge proponent of therapy, but sometimes that's not enough. You have to put things into action to really channel a lot of the somatic diseases, for example, and to take our mind off how much pain we physically are in, to help rewire our brain and our thoughts, and to regulate our emotions. So that's why I started getting online a couple of years ago, and I was just started speaking to my soul. And whoever listened in, great. And obviously it ended up manifesting into Conscious Lifestyle Coaching being a business, because I knew from many years ago that I wanted to be a healer in some type of way. I knew that was my soul mission, my identity. I pursued the medical path, I pursued the therapy path, and I just knew I was a coach. I'm someone who is ready to meet you where you are and to walk with you forward from the place and knowing of our mutual understanding of what kind of pain and traumas and struggles we've been through, but we're ready to leave that in the past and to create something beautiful and to create purpose with what our stories are. And each of our stories are so unique. So what I witnessed in myself, and what I witness a lot among the spiritual community, is feeding into a sense of codependency, of the archetype of the healer, resonating as the healer identity. We've always been someone, a lot of us since childhood even, the caregiver, the giver of energy, the giver of positivity and love no matter what, at the sacrifice and detriment of ourselves. And sometimes that started too early, too young. That's why I founded a company called Conscious Lifestyle Coaching in my early 20s, because I had to grow up a little bit too fast. So mentally, I'm extremely mature, and I'm very aware of my own emotions. So that helps me put me on a path, right, of something I really enjoy and love doing, but it comes from a place of deficit that I alchemized into purpose. So I'm speaking to someone, if you're still watching, you resonate with the healer archetype and you want to take your life back into your own hands and to re-script your own story of trauma, whatever that might be. So if you're getting started, or if you've been on this path, let's be honest, continue to check in about, are we continuing that broken healer archetype that we had to embody to survive, or it was an identity that was forced upon us, that yes, it was a beautiful part of our soul, but it became exploited and manipulated along the journey. So much so to the extent that we lose recognition of how much we've been feeding into other people's needs while sacrificing our own, so much to the point we become doormats and people pleasers, and we neglect ourselves, and we become increasingly unhappy, sometimes suicidal even, which I address a lot. And you're just trying to be a good person, you're helping people, and you're that kind, sweet human being, and yet you're extremely broken inside and depressed and have nobody around you to help you. And I've been there, and it burnt me out a little bit when I'm not aware of it with conscious lifestyle coaching and being on this channel. Because if you're continuing to embody that archetype of I'm a healer no matter what, whatever you need, I'm here for you, you matter more than myself, always, cool. Well, people will feed in that. People will come in, and that's what you've always surrounded yourself with. But now, because you're conscious of it and you're watching, so you're probably maybe a little bit more advanced on your healing path, you recognize you're not in the trauma anymore. If you are, you're already on your way out, or you're very close to becoming free of it. And so you don't have to do it out of survival. You have to do it from a very full cup of yourself, where you're not sacrificing your own joy and your physical, mental, emotional well-being. You're not allowing people to feed off your energy anymore. And it is a very parasitic, demonic energy that can come in, and it will manipulate you and convince you that the more you give of yourself and sacrifice, then you're going to receive the love. But that's not genuine divine love. Divine love doesn't ask you to harm yourself or hurt yourself in order to receive love. It's freely given to you. So that's the point you need to always be in your business or in your channel, and in your daily life, in your relationships, of freely giving and then freely receiving, so that it is a balanced exchange of energy. And the dangers here that I see, especially on the internet and the spiritual community, is when I recognize people like myself who become coaches or tarot readers, oracle readers, for example. And this is what they do 24/7, day in and day out. And I know it's not sustainable. And if I see them not really making money as a professional or a proper business, and then I get weary, or I get concerned about people taking advantage of people like that. And it becomes almost this is a very controversial word, but it feels like emotional prostitution or spiritual prostitution. And I recognize as spiritual healers, I recognize my own videos. If I have a little bit of cleavage, or there's something about the video that appeals to the superficial mind, you get more comments of, oh, how beautiful you are, how loving, how sweet, we love you, thank you. And then you get real and you maybe put on a little bit more clothes and people disappear. And that's really unhealthy, especially if you're on a healing journey or trying to embody being a healer for other people. Do you want to continue to sustain that, again, codependent energy? And it's not something that's going to sustain for very long. And I'm not targeting specifically the tarot community or the spiritual community. If anyone is offended by that, I'm saying receive what you deserve for what you're giving out, even if it's emotional labor. And I want to get real for a second and ground people who are truly, genuinely on the entrepreneur path. You want to start a legit business, a registered business wherever you are, that will sustain you fully for the rest of your life, great generational income. And then you have to question, what type of people are you going to be able to interact with, engage with, to serve day in and day out every day? Is it going to be people who are embodying the energy of your former abusers in your old past traumatic life as that people pleaser, as that source of positive energy that had no other choice? So you have to be conscious of what you're feeding into daily, and not, of course, just paying attention to likes and subscribers, but where do you want to grow professionally, and how can you help other people grow professionally? So I'm hoping to see more people who are very spiritual on the internet, starting their business, take it very serious of the influence they have, and for us to be extremely aware of what kind of communities we're building. Are people actually growing with you, or are we feeding people's ego because it makes them feel better when they listen to your video, when they get on a call with you? Are they walking away just because you said nice things, you gave them good energy for a second, but how are we teaching other people to create that for themselves? Or what I witnessed too with the tarot reading and the emotional positivity readings and videos like that is people get addicted to that energy and then they don't regulate themselves. So then if you're allowing people to get addicted to your energy and not teaching them, not empowering them to move forward without you in some way, if you're not giving them a strategy, a formula for life, eventually, again, you will burn out. It will continue to take from you eventually. It will avalanche into a need for people to validate who you are. And we're trying to move away from all that. So I hope this helps. Let's be honest about our own codependent relationships. And if we're on the self-development journey, I think the key message of this video is how is your history with codependency from childhood translating into not only your intimate relationships now. People talk about that all the time, but what about the professional relationships you're having with people who are watching your content, buying your products, your art, your books, coming into your store? Or if you're not quite there yet, what is the vision of the life that you want to create in that space? So yeah, there's a very clear distinction between spirituality and emotional, I want to say it's prostitution in a way, because it doesn't feel good to the person who's giving it to always be giving to people who are not respecting who you are. You're just making them feel better. So then you're kind of like a drug or a piece of entertainment. And if you're watching this, I believe you are so much more than that, and you know that you're on a soul mission. And part of my mission with Conscious Lifestyle Coaching is to help you translate that soul mission, that vision you have, into an actual grounded business that will feed you income sustainably in a way that will actually change the environment around us, change the culture, shift the culture to be more positive and healing for everybody. So that's the message. Again, it's maybe a little bit triggering to some people. I use tarot. I listen and I watch other channelers on YouTube who help me emotionally regulate myself to keep going and getting on here. But again, I'm trying to bring balance to the conversation and just talk about even my own struggle with codependency and how that's translated into the videos and content I've created. So thank you for holding me accountable. I hope this helps you, and I'll see you in the next video. If you're new here, I welcome you. Again, my name is Raileigh. Check out my website, consciouslifestylecoaching.com. Like, comment, subscribe, get to know me. I would love to get to know you at some point. And yeah, let me know if I could be of service. Peace and clarity to you. I'll see you in the next video.